Good afternoon and good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and Coffee Stream episode 506. And today, Monday, February 21st, we we are going to be having two streams. Right now, is the coffee stream. And later tonight, around 8 p.m., I'm going to be covering the vote. The vote for the Emergencies Act is happening in Parliament tonight at 8 p.m. So I am going to be covering that as well. But, sorry, before we get into that, I have a press conference to share with you. Late, says Cannibalistic Wizard. Pincalo says, not as late as Trudeau was to the presser. That's true. Hello, Elowen. So, hello, Seamus. Hello, everybody. So, we're going to look at, this is a press conference we have with Trudeau and the other ministers, and they are speaking ahead of today's vote. And so I figured we would watch this because, oh my God, because apparently I'm dying. Anyway, so we're going to take a look at this press conference. And as Pincalo said, if you look at these Seek Bar, we're
drink the coffee. Don't breathe the coffee.
Shh. We are 29 minutes into this thing. So they were a bit late, as politicians generally are, to their own press conferences. I'm not entirely sure why. It seems to be a thing with politicians to show up late to their own scheduled press conferences. I'm not sure what requirement that is, but whatever. All right. Let's start with this press conference here. Sounds like someone needs a glass of warm maple syrup. Ugh. Oh, good. More government oppression from Canada's little bastard. Yep.
Bonjour tout le monde. Hi everyone. Mon nom est Catherine Lévesque. Je suis journaliste pour le National Post et je serai votre modératrice aujourd'hui. So
hey,
today we have with us the Prime Minister, le très honorable Justin Trudeau. Nous avons aussi la vice-première ministre et ministre des Finances, Chrystia Freeland. We have the President of the Queen's Privy Council for Canada and Minister of Emergency Preparedness, Bill Blair, Minister of Public Safety,
Bill, steal the guns, Blair,
and Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, David Lametti. So Prime Minister Trudeau will make a few remarks.
David, freeze their accounts if they donate even $100 and they have done nothing like this before, Lametti.
Questions. A reminder, it is 20 minutes of questions, 10 in the room and 10 on Zoom. À vous, Monsieur le Premier ministre.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello everyone. Je suis accompagné aujourd'hui de la vice-première ministre Freeland et des ministres Lametti, Mendicino et Blair.
Yeah.
These past weeks have been incredibly difficult for the people of our capital city. They've been stressful and disturbing for all Canadians. The situation is not anything anyone wanted, and quite frankly, not anything we'd want to see again.
Then here's a thought. Don't be a crazy, divisive, lying bastard of a leader, and that won't happen again.
Lundi dernier, après avoir consulté les provinces et les territoires, le gouvernement fédéral a invoqué la loi sur les mesures d'urgence. Mardi, le poste frontalier de Coutts, en Alberta, a été rouvert. Et mercredi, le barrage à Emerson, au Manitoba, a été levé. Aujourd'hui, les familles et les travailleurs d'Ottawa sont en voie de retrouver leur quartier et leur liberté.
Yeah. So, before the Emergencies Act was implemented, Coots was reopened and Emerson was reopened. Frog-eating prick needs to stand trial. His French is over accented. It is. So when he's speaking in Ottawa, his French sounds like this, Elwin. But when he goes, it's very strange because when he goes to different French speaking towns, his accent changes. Now, this, as someone who is very into languages, that does happen when you're in an area and you pick up on the dialect or the accent. But he like forces it. Like if he's up in the northern like farm towns of Quebec, like he really puts on that twang. You know what I mean? That French twang. That he really layers it on. It's not just like I've been talking with these people for a while and I've picked up a bit of their accent. No, he sounds like Ocasio-Cortez did when she showed up in the where she was talking to all the black people and she put on this weird accent. Yeah, that's what he sounds like with his French. It's very strange. Let's see. It would have been easier to roll back vaccine passports rather than authorization of militarized police. Yeah, yep. I thought Canada was a first world country. Why is he speaking French?
I want to take a moment to thank the law enforcement agencies from across the country who joined the operations.
Who didn't need the Emergencies Act to do so. I'm sorry, carry on.
I want to continue to thank them as they ensure that, among other things, Canada's border crossings remain open, including in Windsor, and that all communities are safe.
Again, they didn't need any National Emergencies Act to do any of these things because all of the provinces that this shit was happening in declared of states of emergency. So they had the stuff, they had the powers in place already.
We didn't want to use the Emergencies Act.
It's bullshit. 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 You absolutely wanted to use the Emergencies Act. You lying little shit.
Never something to turn to without serious consideration. But after weeks of dangerous and unlawful activities, after weeks of people being harassed in their neighborhoods and small businesses forced to close, after billions of dollars were stalled in trade, putting people's jobs and livelihoods at risk, after the National War Memorial was desecrated, after evidence of increased ideologically motivated violent extremism activity.
Listen, asshole. You have no room to talk about ideologically driven anything. When every single answer you give in the House of Commons starts with, Mr. Speaker, the Liberal Party will not take lessons from the Conservatives on insert whatever thing we're talking about here. So, really, dude? Just shut up. You are like, and anybody who has even watched a 10th of the content that I have about you, or even watched a 10th of the speeches that you've given that I have, can see that you are lying through your teeth.
Across the country, after a flood of misinformation and disinformation washed over Canada,
including your divisive language that said that every single person in that convoy was a racist, bigot, misogynist, Islamophobic, black race, like specifically black racist, swastika waving, Nazi, like every checkbox you could think of. Oh, wow.
including from foreign sources. After these illegal blockades and occupations received disturbing amounts of foreign funding to destabilize Canada's democracy, it became clear that local and provincial authorities needed more tools to restore order and keep people safe.
It became clear that we needed to step in and tell them to hold our beer and be extra undemocratic and
You have to take a shot. He used the democratic talking point.
I don't have anything.
It was a threat to our democracy.
I don't have anything to take a shot. Oh, check DM. Fuck it, this looks fun. Oh. All right, cool. The vote's not on right now. I'm just looking at the press conference he did just now, but the vote's later tonight. If you, I'm sending you the link right now for this, but if you also want to join me tonight for the vote, that is also cool. We got to get you a new coffee maker, dude. We got to get Functional a new coffee maker. We need to get Functional a functional coffee maker. You see what I did there? Quick, somebody get to Canadian Tire and get him a coffee maker, quick. There we go. Let me just get into StreamYard and so I can add you. Boop. Hello.
Hey BP, hey chat. Yeah, I mean, I when I get in the zone with my painting, especially when I'm not caffeinated, I just want to like retreat in and just get some painting done.
Yeah.
Like most of your streams, I have you in the background listening, and I'm just like, this son of a bitch. He's bear with me for a second because he's basically describing everything he's done.
Right? Over the past 2 fucking years?
Right. No, I mean, yes, but I'm just specifically talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
This instance.
Yeah.
It's the government that's been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's the police that have been enacting the government orders of this. And it's, nothing has to be official because, he's the PM. It'd be a shame if your department got less funding and you had to let go of half your police force kind of deal. It's nothing but mob mentality tactics.
Like it, just like what happened with us in Ontario. Like, do you remember how Ford was like actually pretty level-headed about this? And then we had that, Trudeau had that quote unquote meeting with Doug Ford like last year. And all of a sudden, Ford was like, "Oh shit, vaccine passports everywhere!" And it was like,
"Yeah, you know why that
how many
was?
Equalization payments were you threatened with?"
Exactly.
For like for you to do.
It'd be a
for you to
real
play
shame if
ball.
our equalization payments took a little bit more. Oh, I don't know, like 25% next time around,
Yeah.
Mr. Ford. If you don't
Yeah.
play ball, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And I know the thing is going to be tonight, so yeah, probably be around for that because I was really excited to sit down with that, with you for that. And if we have time, there's Polyev's speech from the floor from Sunday.
I'd like to play that.
Fucking genius. I played it for Prospero. She's just like, yeah, this guy can fucking get it. This guy, I'm so jazzed up about Polyev.
I was glad that he was there on Sunday because I was wondering like where Bergen and all of them were on Saturday when I was streaming the debate. I was like, where are all of the like?
Because they're only there to be a soundbite when it's politically expedient for them. Yeah. A lot of people still, the conservatives are not your friends, just like these liberals are not your friends. But there are individual people within the party, both parties, who are fighting for what their job is. They're fighting for people. There have been liberal MPs who have been tossed out. Because they fought against this. Let's not forget, it's not up here. It's not as polarized as it is down south in the States, where
Trudeau would like you to think it is.
They would definitely like you to think it is. Look at how hard they're trying to paint protesters with a Trumpian or nationalists or racist or Nazi. The one guy with the Nazi flag, you fucking smooth-brained retard, was calling you the Nazi. Was saying what you are doing is akin to the Nazis.
And then Trudeau freaking makes that swastika remark to the Jewish fucking MPs. Like,
I know her.
Wow, dude. Oh, you do?
I know her personally, like in real life.
Oh, wow.
She is okay. First of all, I love her to death, but she's such a stereotypical dyke. She's great though. She's great though. She's a great person, and the reason why she got into politics was exactly that reason. Was politics wasn't working for us, and so you see this very base level. And the only way that people thought that they could affect change was to join the Conservatives because of the big outing of people like Bernier. They saw the kind of voice that was being given to people, and they were like, you know what? If I can do that, if they can do that. And start a new party, although it kind of failed. But the messages were getting out there. Certain conservatives were people of the Conservative Party were latching onto those talking points, and it held. So these people got into politics. Michelle's been in politics for better part of a decade now.
Right. Yeah.
And we need more people like that because people like this guy you see on screen. They're not there to serve the people. They're there to serve their own.
And it's scary because a lot of the NDP are blocking or are backing this asshole.
Yeah. Oh well, the NDP is just their backbench. Basically.
Oh yeah,
Again, they'll talk about Trudeau saying something stupid or blackface or whatever when it's politically expedient, but not when it's part of the narrative.
Oh, of course.
And we have to say it because every time we bring up the NDP, they're the national, the New Democrat Party, formerly the Communist Party of Canada.
Yep.
Just let that.
The Social Credit Party.
Yeah, Jagmeet Singh
literally
was in favor
of
terrorist group in Pakistan.
Yeah, but literally before the NDP was the NDP, they were the Social Credit Party of Canada.
And again, somebody like like Elwin mentions, Jack Layton, who had better, more centrist, liberal, classical, liberal, libertarian sort of ideas, more akin to where I lean with. Yeah, a social safety net is good, but we need to keep the checks and balances to make sure it's not abused and blah 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 blah. Yeah. But also try to be as fiscally conservative as we can because we can't keep spending more than we're making. That's just basic economics. And he tried to shift that party away from the socialist leanings. And then once he died, it was just yanked right back down into the communist hellhole whence it came.
And Pincalo's right. This act still does have limitations, but the point is that it should never have been used.
Yeah, it's a complete mismanagement of power.
It may have limitations to it, but like that it's still, that's like saying, the death penalty is only used in certain cases. Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's always used right. You know what I mean? Like,
there have been
plenty of innocent people put to death for something they didn't do.
Exactly. That's why when you're on death row, you're on death row for like a decade.
That's not my point, dummy.
Oh, shut up.
My point has to do with the fact that people want to sit there and freak out over all of this, acting as if he has unlimited powers. One, you can't have a dictatorial government when you're the minority power, because there's limitations. Our system cannot be overthrown the way the American system can. True. The biggest problem with all this bullshit, because that's how these people are acting.
And a lot of Canadians that are not educated, I have, and Pincalo has been hearing too, some actual Canadian citizens saying that their First Amendment rights are being obstructed.
Manitoba is no longer a province.
It's like, dude, our First Amendment was Manitoba becoming a province. You're an idiot. Stop. Stop.
Like I said when you first brought me in, like it's not about the power that he has on paper. There's a lot of influence, and again, it'd be a real shame if someone were to knock your coffee cup over if you didn't give me your donut.
Yeah,
it's a veiled threat. Obviously, yes, it's a paper tiger scenario, but a paper tiger can still cut you.
Yep.
If you catch my meaning. So yeah, let's finish this stupid idiot.
Let's see what he says here.
For the past few days, parliamentarians have been debating the Emergencies Act and will be voting on it tonight.
And I will not be there.
All members of Parliament to take action against illegal blockades and to stand up for public safety and for the freedom of Canadians.
In other words, I urge parliamentarians not to vote this down. Please, for the love of God, don't vote this down. I like having this power.
Because my dictates for the last 2 years have not robbed you of your freedom and have not caused illegal blockades. Not physical blockades, but socially enforced blockades.
And I also wasn't in power when the natives were blocking the railways 2.5 years ago either. That was totally not under my power. Oh wait, it was. Oops. Fucking.
Invoking the Emergencies Act has been necessary.
Where?
Law enforcement agencies relied on it to set up secured areas in downtown Ottawa and at border crossings.
Okay, but we didn't need it because we have this nifty thing called the Criminal Code of Canada that already covers all the shit that was going on.
Did you know? Again, we've already covered this. It was enacted 3 times.
Yeah.
2 times during World Wars and 1 during an actual present domestic terrorist threat.
Yeah.
We didn't do it on 9/11 when we thought we would also be under attack, even though police forces across the country, especially here in Toronto, were deployed en masse.
Oh yeah. Like
it looked like a police state.
Like I remember that day I was like, is the CN Tower next?
I was downtown at school. I was downtown at school.
Yeah.
And in the matter of a couple of hours, like the plane hit while I was in the subway. I get out of the subway, I reach the pub where me and my class, this is college, so me and my classmates would meet for a coffee or maybe, some fries or something, a little snack before we went to our afternoon classes. I get out, everybody's eyes are glued to the television because I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Is this for real? And, once it sinks in, within a couple hours of that, 2 hours, I would say, there were a pair of cops on every damn street corner.
I bet.
Every intersection where there were traffic lights, there were at least 2 police officers, cruisers patrolling the entire downtown core. They were ready. And there was not even a mumbling of the Emergencies Act.
Ellen says they evacuated UOF, especially the Chem Lab.
University of Toronto. Yeah. They're one of their main campuses was next to my college campus, and They evacuated everybody out of schools. Again, it was not a let's shut everything down scenario, but it was a okay, if something's going to happen, we are going to be prepared.
Yeah. And Chrétien was like, no, I am not putting in the Emergencies Act. And like, even Harper, when the freaking banks crashed all over the world.
Yeah.
Harper was like, and I never liked Harper as a prime minister.
No, neither did I.
But even he didn't put in the act.
Now,
and then we had 2 years of freaking a virus that caused governments to shut things down. And Trudeau didn't even feel the need to put it into place then. But
people were playing ball.
But God forbid people disagree with him for 3 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, if I had tyrannical leanings, but I wanted to do this smart, I'm just going to play devil's advocate, put myself into the PN's shoes. I would deploy the police. Sure. I would have them stand back and not engage. Yeah. Again, I would have that mentality of have them deployed, but very hands off. And in case there was actionable violence, you better believe I'd have every camera available filming it and then have the police engage with that. But again, we haven't had any actual acts of violence on the side of the protesters. We've had multiple acts of violence on behalf of the police.
And the arrests.
And the hired goons that they
The arrests
brought in.
that I've seen for the protesters are misdemeanors. Like they're being arrested for misdemeanors charges, right? You don't need
bullshit things that they can just scoop somebody off the street.
Emergencies Act to arrest people for a misdemeanor.
One quick interruption.
The
video. So there was a video going around recently that popped up of one of the black guys that was at the protests, and he saw the Nazi flag. One of them. There were apparently a few. There were like 3. This guy was actually apparently holding up the sign and saying, "This is what we are going to become. Is this what you want?"
That's what Functional was saying.
He was using it as an anti-flag.
Yeah.
Bad idea. Good message. Bad idea.
More, please.
Well, it's
Stairs
weird.
Are evil.
More coffee, please. Need fuel badly. Yeah, I mean, I've been to my share of protests. There were the G8, there was the G7, there was Occupy, there was the teachers' strike. I've seen my share of these kinds of things. I've never seen anyone enacting violence except for the police.
Yeah.
And again, you don't need the Emergencies Act to. They just didn't like the look of some of the people. So, you're jaywalking? Okay, well, we're just going to throw you in the back of the paddy wagon. Oh, you're loitering because you're standing on a street corner? And these are the types of things that they can scoop you up off. Don't have to charge you with, but they still put that element of fear and violence out there.
And even the crazies like Pat King and Chris Berber, right? We don't need the Emergencies Act to deal with them either. No. We have things set up already in the criminal code where if you can prove that they are connected to actual terrorist groups, you can still take action against them.
Because that's against the law.
Yeah. You don't need an Emergency Powers Act.
If they arrest him and see that he's got, blueprints for or a plan written out of what he's going to do, what they're going to do to raid the Capitol building or whatever, the Parliament building, then yes, that's pre-planning terrorism shit. That's but there is still none of that. There's still none of that. It's all basically speech. And yeah, even if some of the crazies are talking a little crazier, it's still speech.
Yep.
There's no planning. There's no action. And yeah, Lindsay, the cynical geek, exactly. It will backfire. It is backfiring.
Yep.
His own PMs, his own cabinets are slowly but surely turning away, not necessarily from him, not fighting him, but turning away from the narrative. And that is a step in the right direction.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else he has to say here.
It prevented foreign money from continuing to fund illegal blockades, and it's making sure our borders remain open. It has been the responsible thing to do.
Oh,
what about the
you.
foreign money that's filling
Now have
yours
a
and
choice.
Sophie's bank accounts?
Right?
Namely from countries like, I don't know, China.
China,
From
yeah.
the CCP. He's taking, him and Chrystia Freeland are taking direct money from the CCP.
Yep. Yep.
What's that? What do I hear? Nothing. Except from maybe like one or two people like Polyev.
Yeah.
To make as a society. We can choose to keep reliving these scenes that tear at the values that bind us as Canadians, or we can choose to remember who we are.
Wait, are you saying that
Free
standing
people?
up to you tears at the values that bind
Yes.
Canadians? Are you serious?
Just like Fauci is the science, Trudeau is the Canada. To go against Trudeau is to go against Canada. Don't
Yes,
you understand?
to go against Trudeau is
Back.
to be anti-Canadian, I guess.
Yep.
That's wow.
Yeah, it's
Just wow. Like wow.
This is we've seen a lot of heavy projection
yeah.
given the political climate that really went into overdrive in 2016. Or 2015, I should say, before the American election. But it really got kicked into overdrive at around that time.
Yeah.
And we felt some of the bleed off in parts. But never has anyone projected as hard as he is right now.
No.
Again, I have to hit this home because everything he's saying is what he is culpable of, what he is guilty of, what everybody he's claiming is in fact the embodiment of what makes Canada so different from the United States. One of our key things is that we talk shit through.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to push us as a people to the edge where we enact violence onto people. When we got the call from Britain for World War II, we were there. Because we saw, it wasn't our backyard, but we saw what was happening to people in the world under the boot of tyranny. And we answered the call.
Yeah.
And when there is stuff that we don't agree with within our own country, we sit out, we talk, we use our voices and our signs and our words, our speech.
And we even just demonstrated that with like the disagreement when Chrétien said to George Bush, no, we're not going to war with you. Yeah.
We're not going to Afghanistan. We're not going to Iraq. You know what? We are a part of the UN, unfortunately, but we do send our peacekeepers, which are basically just an observer. Why can't I say this word? Observer force to make sure that trigger-happy gun nuts aren't going to shoot innocents. Like things are on the level. That's basically what we entirely did.
Yeah. The Canadian Liberals took over $200 million in donations from the CCP. Says
more than that,
a conservative number, at very conservative.
Very best, yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking closer, and I can't source it right now, but I think in somebody's deep dive, I don't remember. It was like last year or the year before. There was close to 1.8 billion in funds, and we're talking business deals, we're talking land acquisitions and contracts and stuff. So I mean, it's all dirty money. It's all laundered so many times, and I'm using that more descriptively, metaphorically than actual laundering. It's changed so many hands, so many times, gone through so many different businesses. But it's all basically ending up in the same pockets.
Yeah. All right, let's see here.
And the best vision of what Canada can be. What we've seen in these past weeks is not the story of this pandemic.
Yes,
the story
it is.
Of this pandemic is one of unity and solidarity.
Where?
La pandémie C'est l'histoire des travailleurs de la santé qui se présentent chaque jour au travail, peu importe leur fatigue et les difficultés qui les attendent. C'est l'histoire des camionneurs et des travailleurs de première ligne qui font tourner notre économie. C'est l'histoire des enfants et des aînés qui sont restés forts et résilients. On a vu les gens partout au pays travailler ensemble et s'adapter collectivement pour sauver des vies.
Yeah, he's like
On a les taux de vaccination parmi les plus élevés au monde.
pronouncing his French because he's in the
On a
capital.
tous fait des sacrifices.
To speak
Et oui,
proper French.
ça a été difficile.
Well, he also grew up as
36
an
000
Anglophone.
Canadiens ont été emportés par la COVID-19. C'était des
Yes,
grands-parents.
hold on, let's see here.
Mais à travers tout,
Where's the
through this
English?
pain,
Oh,
on était là, les uns pour les autres.
here we go.
Through this pain and heartbreak, Canadians answered the call because Canadians are good people.
The call to stand up against you.
Wait. So is he basically saying that the people who agree with him are Canadians and the people who don't agree with him are not? Because that's what I'm hearing.
Yep.
I am hearing those of you who agree with me and stood up and did in what I say is the right thing, you are Canadians. But the people who disagree with me and, want all of this to end, they're not Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
This is our leader, people. This is who is supposed to lead us.
It's exactly like how Bush put it. You're either
You're either with us or against us.
Yeah, basically.
It's basically
there is no middle ground in this situation. You either support what I do in its entirety, or you're against Canada. You're against your own country.
Ellen say he's making me feel better about my French accent.
We're among the world leaders in vaccination and health outcomes, as well as in economic recovery and job creation. It took courage. It took resilience.
None of which
we did it
you have
together. And despite the
what
many
courage are you
challenges that
showing?
we faced,
and why are you speaking as though this is over now?
Or that he's the victim.
Right?
But what courage has he shown? He's a bully.
Yeah.
The courage comes from that person standing on the street corner that your jackbooted thugs might run over with a horse, or arrest, or beat, or detain, or throw you in the back of a paddy wagon and then release you 100 kilometers in the middle of nowhere outside of Ottawa with no money and nothing on you, and you have to walk back.
Did you see so the Ottawa chief of police,
the new one or the old one?
The mayor, not the
mayor,
chief
okay.
of police, the mayor, Jim Watson.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing a news interview on CBC, and Pincalo got a screen recording of it, where he was saying the Emergency Powers Act has given us the power to sell the towed trucks.
Yeah.
And I want to do that. I want to advise the chief of police that these people should not get their rigs back, and that we should sell the trucks and use the money to basically recoup the quote losses that Ottawa has
excuse me, recoup the costs of police overtime and fuel and paychecks and basically everything that he's dumping money by deploying these police at the behest of the Prime Minister.
Yeah. That's the Ottawa mayor, and the Prime Minister, part of the Emergencies Act, he just dumped like a whole bunch of money into downtown Ottawa anyway.
Yeah.
So why do you need to sell the towed vehicles? That's no.
Well, there were multiple videos that I saw coming out this weekend of police, like gangs of police. We're talking, a dozen big burly full tack gear cops, faces almost completely covered. No weapons drawn or anything, but they're going to stores where people are congregating, sitting around having coffee, reading, whatever, that are closed to the public. They're just letting select people in. And the police want to get in there, and so many of these cafe owners and whatnot are turning them away, and they're being threatened right there on camera by the police, saying, if you don't let us in, we'll break the windows, we'll come in there, we'll arrest everybody.
That's crazy.
Scary. Tell me who has courage there, you little shit.
Right? That's not courage.
Because these people, they're not like
institutions.
Never mind.
Remain strong.
Our democratic institutions remain strong.
We don't always agree.
Okay.
And that's okay. In fact, it's not only healthy to have debates in a democracy, it's necessary.
But you have to agree with me at the end.
Our government will always defend freedom of expression and freedom of peaceful assembly. These values are at the core of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. They're at the core of who we are as Canadians. In a democracy, you can protest, you can share your opinion at the top of your lungs. You can disagree with elected officials. You can certainly disagree with me.
Just don't actually come to me in person and do it.
But you can't harass your fellow citizens who disagree with you. You can't hold a city hostage. You can't block a critical trade corridor and deprive people of their jobs.
But I can.
You can't attack journalists for reporting.
But you can.
Which is essential to our democracy.
But I can do it.
What you can do is vote. What you can do is run for office.
But only run for my
how change happens in a democracy. On est tous fatigués de la pandémie.
And how dare he invoke the charter, something he's been spitting on ever since he came into office. Before even COVID, he's been spitting on and pissing on our Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
To work together. More than ever, now is the time to work together. It's also the time to reflect on the kind of future we want for our country.
A future without you in it, sir.
2 weeks.
Go
2 weeks before
away.
He even addressed them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we want a future without Justin Trudeau at the helm of our country. That's what we want.
There's a lesson for all of us in what happened this month. We don't know when this pandemic is going to finally end.
Hollow. I don't like Ezra either.
But that doesn't mean we can't start healing as a nation. And it starts with all of us. If you spend a lot of time online, try looking outside your social media bubble every now and then.
Are you serious?
I see a bunch of people who are masked up, too afraid to even look at me, never mind come within 6 feet of me. I see people who are so afraid to even be outdoors because of you. Good freeze game there too, BP. You can't see, but he's looking at the camera just so dead-eyed, smugly.
And then freaking Elwin. Somebody trained him to use that tone. It's manipulative and very wrong. Yes.
Yeah.
He gets asked about it. Just wait. Oh.
I bet he gets asked to boot it.
If you have a cousin who you haven't seen in a while because they're unvaccinated or because they're vaccinated, give them a call.
You're the one who started the unvaxxed versus... Oh, you motherfucker.
Yeah. I have no problem vaxxed people showing up in my house. But you know what? You know what? The opposite isn't true. my family members won't see me because I refuse to take
That
jab.
sucks, dude. Like I
have friends who pretty much aren't friends anymore who've gone so off the rails, so scared, so terrified. Oh, like it seemed overnight they became some of the biggest hypochondriacs I've ever known.
And that drives me crazy because it's like, dude, if you have the
and
vaccine,
it's his fault.
It's like, if you have the vaccine, you should be fine. Right? Like,
but it's
I
not,
have the
and we know.
I'm vaccinated, so like if I ever met up with you in person, like I don't give a fuck that you're not vaccinated because I'm vaccinated. And vaccines should be like the way that they're supposed to work is that they're supposed to protect you. Yes? So it shouldn't matter if the person that I'm meeting is unvaccinated.
Lindsay Mussolini, that's a good start. I'm more of the Rasputin school of thought on how we should treat Trudeau.
Yeah.
Can put his little stubby mushroom on display at the Smithsonian.
Your family actually told you to try to force people to get the vaccine?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I even, like, when it comes to childhood vaccines, and I meet and talk, like, if I've talked to people who are hesitant about that, like, I just tell them my story and what can happen, but then I always end it with, but you need to talk to your doctor and, like, figure things out for yourself, right? I don't just sit there and be like, you must vaccinate your children.
How long was that bus parked at the school for?
The whole day.
But how many times did that happen?
Like 3 or 4 times.
And anytime you went past it, because you went past it a few times.
I specifically stopped going by it when it was after that first time. Yeah. And they waylaid me without telling me where they were from or who they were.
There besides them? Was there anybody going on the bus?
Not when I was there, but I don't know.
I never saw. Okay, every time I passed that thing all around town. So, folks, what they did was they took a city bus, and I don't know if they sterilized it or not, but they made that the mobile vaccine clinic. Yeah, and they were parking it at random places, and they were trying to coax people from the neighborhoods to go in there. I never saw a single person go into those buses in our neighborhood or any of the corresponding places that I saw it. What does that fucking tell you?
Trudeau is more like Karl Marx.
I have the extension before we keep playing it. I have the extension that lets me see dislikes. So I'm just gonna give you the ratios of some of the top news outlets in Canada right now.
Okay.
So Global News, we have 500 upvotes, almost 1,400 dislikes. City, 300 likes, 1.1450 dislikes. CPAC, 200 upvotes, almost 850 downvotes. Jesus. You can see the ratios. So tell me, who's the minority here? I know that's just a small slice. Not everybody's on frickin' YouTube, and even fewer people will even bother to click one of those buttons. But just as a slice, and some of the stuff you've seen on Twitter and Facebook and other social medias of people behind this, who's the minority here?
Yeah, exactly. March.
Yeah, and saying that if you're not against, not necessarily against, but not for getting the Fauci ouchie, that you are anti-vaccination.
Yeah,
is complete and utter bullshit.
It is.
Again, I don't think you or I or most people would say that polio vaccine, MMR, are anything short of miraculous and kind of important.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons that we don't have to go into, but very obvious, glaring reasons.
Yeah.
But what we have now, they're not.
If a political conversation got heated during a recent gathering and a friend or relative left early, pick up the phone. Not to try to convince them, not to argue, but simply to ask how they're doing.
Because,
Look, in the heat of the moment, we can all get carried away trying to win an argument. But not every single conversation has to be about winning an argument.
Then stop dividing everybody, you piece of garbage.
Sometimes it's more important to just be there for one another. As a country,
have you been there for anyone in your
let's aim
life
for
ever?
more decency in our public
He
discourse.
just wants people huddled at home, scared and afraid, so
Let's
that he can protect
cherish
them
democracy that we have,
and think for them.
and let's commit ourselves every day to working together to make it even better. Merci.
Such a piece of garbage.
Let's see what the
Merci,
question
Human
Monsieur le Premier Ministre.
garbage.
So like I said, we will have 20 minutes of questions, starting with questions in the room. So we have 10 minutes. I would ask you, ministers and the Prime Minister, if you could keep your answers short, that would be greatly appreciated.
Don't ramble on like politicians.
Because we have a lot of questions in the room and on Zoom. And for people on Zoom, if you could use the raise hand function to indicate that you have a question, that would be greatly appreciated. And on va commencer avec David Thurton, CBC.
Having used Zoom, I can hear that
Prime Minister,
noise of the hands up.
do we
Just-
still need the Emergencies Act? The blockades have been cleared. Parliament Hill has been cleared. Do we still need it?
As I said, the Emergencies Act is not something to undertake lightly, and
It's
it's
a yes or
something
no
that
question,
needs
dude.
to be momentary, temporary, and proportional. That's why every single day I'm receiving briefings and we are reflecting on how much longer the Emergencies Act needs to be in place. We don't want to keep it in place a single day longer than necessary.
Shouldn't you have had a plan before you enacted the act on how long you wanted it to be active? Instead of like taking it day by day. Like the only time I could see like an Emergencies Act or like a
It was written
wartime.
when he enacted it. He had 7 days to put the reasoning through for the vote for today, which is 7 days.
Yeah.
And then and the bill will extinguish within 30 days, or the act will extinguish in 30 days. So there is a limitation on it. So yeah, I'm sorry, I had to pop in and correct you on that because that's the one that's been pissing me off.
No, but the way that he's talking is like
Yeah, he
we're
will not say it.
reflecting it on.
He's not gonna say it. None of them will.
Well, then that's
Nobody. You had to have read it when it happened.
But that's the problem. They need to be
But
reiterating
nobody is reiterating that at all, and that's what's causing more strife.
that's on them.
That's why I keep saying the dictator thing is not really true.
No, it's not true. But the way that they are acting
No,
is
he's acting
not
like a
helping.
despot.
It's not helping. It's not helping at all.
He is the Jar Jar Binks to Klaus Schwab's Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
Misa think we should enact emergency powers.
Yeah. You know what happened? You know what he's like? He's like Trudeau is like when Boss Nass showed up at near the end of fucking Phantom Menace and goes, Jar Jar. Misa making use the
Bombad General.
And he goes, General? You know, and it's just like that's what happened. That's what exactly what happened. So, oh God. Okay, let's see here.
But even though the blockades are lifted across border openings right now, even though things seem to be resolving very well in Ottawa, this state of emergency is not over.
Why? It wasn't even a state of Oh my God. It wasn't even a national state of emergency to begin with.
There continues to be real concerns about the coming days, but we will continue to evaluate every single day whether or not it is time and we are able to lift this state of emergency. But I will turn to Ministers Mendicino and Blair, who on this question wanted to say a couple of words.
So you I don't know where, I don't know when, but sometime the Emergencies Act is going to be lifted.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, and thank you for the question.
Look, I
Little
think there's no
Marco.
doubt that we have
Little
seen significant
Marco.
progress here in Ottawa, and after
What's with all the
3
Italians?
weeks of torment
Marco
for local
Well, my
Mendocino,
neighborhood,
David
he's-
Lametti.
He's been
for
my
you folks have
area's
been reporting,
representative
and
for quite a while.
you know, the
It's a very
images have
heavily
been
Jewish
shocking
and
at
Italian
times and
neighborhood.
deeply
No, it's
concerning.
just very funny that
this
he's
morning
acting
and yesterday,
all mob and
we saw,
mafia-like,
calm,
and
Yeah.
now he's
peace,
got Marco
quiet.
Mendocino and David
and I think
Lametti
that was certainly a sense of relief for all of us.
backing him up.
But we know that there are still a number of individuals who are affiliated with the illegal
And the
blockades who are in the
Irishman,
area.
Bill
Just this
Blair,
morning,
you know.
we saw that there's some reports for a potential activity in the area. So we have to remain vigilant, and not only in Ottawa, but at our ports of entry. A couple of days ago, there was an effort to try and block Surrey, an important trade corridor at the Pacific Highway. We continue to watch very closely activities in
Weren't you
Windsor,
told to keep your
and we're
answers
following
short?
the advice of our law enforcement. And I would just point out that we've had a number of individuals reach out, including the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, the Canadian Association of Police members, who are the rank and file, who have said to us with a very clear and singular voice that the Emergencies Act is a tool that is continuing to not only address the illegal occupation here in Ottawa, but also being used very effectively to prevent future blockades.
Well, of course it's effective. As an MP said on Saturday, nobody's denying its effectiveness. What we're concerned about was its necessity.
And
You know what I
let's
mean?
not
Like-
forget, just again, for our American viewers, we had the same exodus. Not exodus. It was a suspension put on indefinite leave for police officers who went against jab mandates,
Yeah.
either vocally or in their own life. 120 in my city alone.
Yeah.
Just
This
the
is-
last year. So yeah, they were doing exactly what was in the big news about a year ago in American news, where they were saying, oh well, look, they're going through military, police, schools, etc., and
Yeah.
getting rid of the undesirables, the people they know won't play ball.
Yeah.
That's why these police unions are like, yeah, daddy government, we'll do what you say.
Yeah. Well, every union.
Doctors, nurses, teachers.
So, yeah, exactly.
Now, I want to echo exactly what the Prime Minister said, which is, I think, a sentiment that we all share across government, and that is we do not want to use the Emergencies Act for a single moment longer than is necessary.
Then you shouldn't have
And
used it at
I
all.
believe that when you survey the conduct of law enforcement over the last number of days.
What if this is just another
you have
scare
seen
tactic?
is
They know
restraint.
it's not going to pass,
I mean,
but they're
take a
just
look at the
using
way
it to
that,
be like,
the police carried
yeah, you
themselves
better watch out.
throughout the course of dealing with the illegal occupation here in Ottawa. There was a degree of professionalism and focus, despite the fact that there was an emotionally charged atmosphere, despite the many provocations and intimidation, and at times
Yes,
efforts
'cause
to
you guys aren't being
assault
intimidative at all.
police officers. And that, despite all of that, we saw minimum use of force. So I think that kind of.
Wait, you're calling what's been going on minimum? I guess technically it could be considered minimum use of force. Like there wasn't rubber bullets and cold water and shit, but like
this is it's terrifying to me, because this is exactly the type of stuff I read from newspaper clippings from 1938 Germany.
Yeah.
Almost word for word in what they're saying and how they're saying it.
Yeah. And then if you make those comparisons, you're a racist, and how dare you taint the memory
I mean,
of
it's
Jewish
really not
people.
shocking, given that Klaus Schwab is the puppet master behind someone like Justin Trudeau. And where was he born? 1930s Germany. Grew up under the regime. Was a good, upstanding German citizen throughout the entire occupation. Oh, it's all. And I hate it. I hate it because people have devalued that analogy for so long. But here, the pieces are actually fitting.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Disturbingly
Love them all to
well.
Go
Of
away.
conduct will continue to carry through the Emergencies Act, but we won't use it for any longer than is necessary.
That's not an answer.
If my grandparents were alive today, they'd be.
Yep.
Oh my God.
I'll take your point, David.
Oh, fuck you,
I
Blair.
think clearly the police have used and the measures that we brought forward in the Emergency Act appropriately and to significant effect. We're pleased with the progress that's being made. We're monitoring on a daily and even hourly basis the
He's
threat
the poster
environment
boy
with
for
our senior
failing
officials and
upwards.
with law enforcement. And we are committed to ending this emergency at the earliest opportunity.
Completely Chief
But
of Police
clearly,
in
we're not
Toronto.
out of the
Give him a
emergency
better
act,
job.
and so we'll continue to monitor that very carefully. I hope that's satisfactory, David.
Oui, bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau, Laurence Martin, Radio-Canada. Si
I believe he
la loi est
was
utilisée de
chief of
façon
police in Toronto
préventive,
during the
quel est le
G8 too,
Yes,
seuil
he
pour
was.
where
l'enlever
they were
parce que les
abusing
camionneurs
people.
pourraient revenir
It
dans
was
2 mois, dans 3
was he
mois?
Que nous sommes
before
en
or
train
after
d'avoir, c'est
Fantino?
certain que ce qui pourrait se passer après, présent, la
Julian
situation
Fantino.
est, nous allons le lever.
For
vers Paul
skipping the
Garnier.
French
CTV National
question.
News. My question is for Minister. Hi there, it's Annie Bergeron Oliver for CTV National News. My question is for Minister Freeland, I
Oh my
believe.
goodness.
Two Conservative MPs say that their constituents who donated small amounts, about $50 or so, have had their bank accounts frozen. I'm wondering if this is a case of a mistaken use of powers granted to banks under the Emergencies Act, or is the government going after any donor, including small donors?
Yeah.
I'll turn to
Fantino was
Mr.
2000,
Freeland in a
2005.
second.
Blair was 2005 to
The
20.
measures that we
Okay.
put in place are designed and focused on ensuring that people in the current illegal occupations leave. That has been the intent and the focus right now. If there are specific cases that Conservative ministers can bring forward to highlight where that is not the case, we would happily look at them and hope to resolve them.
No, you won't.
I'll turn over.
So basically, did he just go receipts, motherfucker?
Yeah. When
He
he's
just-
already been proven he doesn't want to talk about that.
He literally
Like, it's just
just
another
said.
deflection.
He literally just said the political version of receipts, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, especially if Poilievre's involved, they'll be like, okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Here are the receipts right here. What do you
The
have
guy
to
is a
say
human
now?
receipt machine.
He really is.
Over to Minister Freeland.
Thank you.
Look at him looking for help. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So first of all, just as the Prime Minister said,
Shut up, Karen.
particularly right now, at a time which is very fraught, it's important for all of us to be very, very careful to get our facts exactly right in each circumstance. And
You listen. The amount of times that you've tried to quote fact check people in the House of Commons
And it
get
backfires.
your ass handed to you, Miss Freeland, like, especially for a journalist, you should be really a lot better at fact checking.
Every time she speaks, there's a scene in The Simpsons that plays in my head when they're in Lionel Hutz's office when Bart gets run over by Mr. Burns.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
goes, "There's the truth."
And
And he
then
shakes
the
his head,
truth.
and the truth. And
Yeah.
he nods his head. Every time she speaks, that scene just plays over and over in my head because that's what she does. She is a habitual liar.
Mm-hmm.
She's basically our version of Jen Psaki
Yeah.
for Trudeau. She's not even we don't really have a press secretary kind of
No.
thing, but that's what she does. Is she plays defense for Trudeau.
Yeah.
I hate her so much.
I do
I
too.
hate them all so much.
I would urge
Or I hate them
all of
most.
us to take that care in every situation. In terms of the financial measures, the RCMP has given to the financial institutions names of leaders and organizers of the protests and of people whose trucks were part of occupations and blockades. That is the only information according to the RCMP, that the RCMP has given to financial institutions.
Except the fact that fucking washed up radio shock jocks have gotten way more information than you're saying the RCMP has given to the fucking financial institutions and posted that all over fucking Twitter. So
that people are getting harassed and actual threats of actionable violence. And what's okay, so okay, yeah, they're gonna, interfere with, okay, but what's the end game there? The end game is to ensure that these people die because they cannot buy groceries or cannot get a job or continue to work because obviously they already have jobs. But
or, once you have your accounts frozen by the government, do you think a bank is going to let you have a credit card? Do you think a bank is going to let you buy a home?
Well, you don't have access to your money. They're going to steal your money. Make sure you cannot get money unless you're doing her old job and essing some D in some glory hole on a truck stop on the 401. I mean, it's they want them dead, and this is not like putting a bullet in them, toot sweet kind of murder. This is the long, prolonged death by 1,000 cuts. Starve them to death. Like when you siege, when ancient armies used to siege a castle, you cut off their lines of supply, and if they're too well entrenched, you just wait them out. Eventually, they will starve.
Yeah. I wonder if she has a coat made of Dalmatian puppies.
Oh my God! Elwyn. You're great.
And then Duck Dog said, "It's Canada, Newfie puppies." Aww.
Aww.
Newfoundland dogs are cute. Why you gotta do that, Duck Dog?
Labrador retrievers are the best.
I want a Newfoundland dog.
Newfoundland water dogs, they're awesome.
They're fucking amazing. Do you know if I could have a Newfoundland guide dog, that would be awesome.
Oh God.
That dog, I would have like the best guide dog ever.
And that's the thing. Like, again, it doesn't have to be legal or actionable on paper through the government. But again, it'd be a shame if, you didn't play ball with us and maybe, freeze these accounts on your own volition and make up your own bullshit excuses. And, maybe we'll look at you favorably next time you need a bailout.
Yeah.
I think it's also really important for everyone to be clear, and this speaks to the getting our facts straight point, that these
CRA
measures
has
apply
had this power forever. Try not paying your taxes for 3
only
years.
as
Well, that's true.
the 15th
but
of February.
You shouldn't.
That is when
you shouldn't be
financial
like the government
support
shouldn't be able
of these
to
illegal
enact the
block-
same power that they have to punish you for not paying your taxes as for donating to something that, like, because your everyday person that believed in this protest, I'm sure didn't know like the craziness of Pat King or Tamara Lynch or whatever, and they just wanted the mandates to end, and they wanted
or
to
that
support
80-year-old
truckers.
grandmother who sent $20 so that a couple truckers could get a couple sandwiches.
Yeah, like those
because she thought that, oh, you know what, maybe the mandates are going a little bit further. She is now actionable. I'm not talking just about the truckers. This is an attack on anyone and everyone. Even the wording is so insidious. I can't recall exact wording, but it's something akin to that even somebody suspected of supporting them. It doesn't even have to be financial. Suspected of supporting them can then be actioned against.
What time is the vote? Gun Fox asks. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be setting up a second stream for that.
This is one of those things that we have to cover because it's far too important.
Yeah. And what else was? Oh yeah. Somebody in my family. They work in the federal government, and a project that had applied for funding through their department actually got the funding, but then emailed them and declined it because of what's going on right now, and the Emergencies Act and everything. And some of their colleagues at work were like, should we report this? Like, should we dig into that? Like, maybe they donated. And my family member was like, that is not our job. Like, absolutely not. That is not what we are supposed to do. Like, that is no. That is.
And remember,
not...
when he first even whispered Emergencies Act, the banks all shut down.
Yeah.
Basically. Because they were like, oh, shit, there might be a run on the banks. It didn't happen, but I mean, it should if you're smart. If you have any savings, get it out now.
Yeah.
Man, it's a scary time.
And I can verify that bank managers are shitting themselves having to do this. They didn't want to.
I bet.
Because the banks that I deal with are some of the big big banks.
Well, and don't you deal with some private?
And some private firms too, but the private firms are just like,
yeah, I bet.
Yeah, whatever.
But none of these people, none of these guys use these private investment firms. To have like wealth management firms, you got to have a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
You can't just have 10 grand in the bank.
No.
You need like 100.
Yeah, at least.
But the whole thing is, the bank managers at like RBC, BMO, CIBC, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The ones that I deal with between them and the realtors and the lawyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting there going, we don't know what we have no idea what the fuck we're looking for.
Right.
And I go, yeah, good luck with PayPal donations. What's PayPal?
What's Streamlabs? What's PayPal?
You try to explain this stuff to them.
Venmo.
Then if you move your stuff into solids, into securities, then there's nothing they can fucking do.
Yeah.
The
Venmo, is that a bank in
They
Missouri?
don't understand how crypto works.
Yeah.
They don't understand blockchain. That's the funniest part.
They don't understand crypto, blockchain, Venmo, PayPal.
The CMP has put forth that blockchain group or whatever
Cash App.
team. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But crypto, I'm still trying to figure out if I want to put my foot into crypto. We didn't step into it in 2006, which makes me fucking mad. We'd be billionaires.
Or not. Let's see here.
And occupations began to be sanctioned. And then finally, let me say, for anyone who is concerned,
they're all
that
speaking
their
very
accounts may
carefully.
have
Have
been
you noticed
frozen
that?
because of their participation in these
Like-
illegal blockades and occupation?
They are
the way to get your account unfrozen is
a
to
lot
stop being
more
part
slowly
of the
than they do in the
blockade
House of Commons.
and occupation.
They are
These
like, we need to
measures
stay
were put in
very,
place
very
to
close to our
disrupt
script. We
illegal
need to
activity in Canada.
be sure of
And,
what we're saying.
we
Like
were
they
very
are
clear last Monday
Well, the world is watching.
that we would be following the money, that we would be using financial tools.
credit unions.
Oh, but wait. When
Illegal
we
blockades
wanted
and
to follow the
occupations,
money between
focus-
you and JT and Klaus Schwab,
Oh, that
and
was
with
bad.
the We Charity.
No,
No.
that was wrong.
We don't follow that money, do we?
No. Can't follow that money.
Fuck out of here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
There's the
PayPal is
truth.
like
Has
Central
been
One
on
Bank,
leaders
the payment
and
processor
on
for all the
the
banks, can't even
vehicles
figure
that
out
were such an
OnlyFans,
important
let alone
part
fucking
of
crypto.
the illegal
Yeah,
blockades and occupations. That has been the
I had
only
to
focus
re-enter my
of
bank
law
account
enforcement.
information again for OnlyFans, and again, I'm having payment rejections.
Bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau. Je voudrais savoir, est-ce que vous allez...
More French. Blah, 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 blah.
Parlementaires vont se... that anyone who vote et leur liberté pour protéger. Can't imagine les Canadiens et leur communauté et leur liberté. I can't imagine that anyone who votes no tonight is doing anything other than indicating that they don't trust the government.
Why would
to
anyone
make-
trust the government?
Yeah, what? You haven't given us any indication that we should trust you. You haven't. The only election. Okay, he's made so many election promises over the past 3 terms of 3 elections that he's been in, right? And he's the only promise that he kept was legalizing pot. That's it. That's it. Do not trust the government. Never ever trust the government, right? Gunfuck.
Incredibly momentous and important decisions at a very difficult time. But like I said, I am confident that the majority of parliamentarians will stand up to support our values, to stand up to support our democracy, and to stand up to support their fellow Canadians. J'ai répondu.
Make this
David
a
Aiken, Global
confidence
News. Thank you
vote.
for taking our questions, and thank you for the kind words about supporting our work. I'd suggest the best.
Thank
way to
you
do
for the
that, of
$60
course, is
million
taking an
last
extended
year.
amount of time for questions from journalists. I heard what you said in reply to my friend David Thurton, and I heard the very same similar lines repeated by Minister Mendicino, repeated by Minister Blair. We don't want this to go on for 1 second longer. I really want to press you. Give us a specific power in the Emergencies Act, which is vital right now.
Thank you.
That is not present in the provincial emergency orders, in the criminal code, and any other number of statutes that already exist. What specifically is in that act that is so vital right now to protect Canadians?
We saw for a number of days and weeks into the blockades that it was extremely difficult to get tow trucks to come and tow big rigs.
But you do, but okay, but
Because
you
none of them
did
agree
that.
with you.
And the tow trucks came in over the weekend, and all the rigs are gone. So what today is the question? What power today, right now, is available that's not available in the other acts? You dumb motherfucker.
One of the specific measures is an ability to compel tow truck drivers to come and do their jobs. When the Emergencies Act was brought in, many tow truck companies said, okay, we'll do it, didn't need to be compelled, but there were some companies that needed to be compelled under the Emergencies Act.
Compel is an interesting word.
Trucks. And we've
Again,
seen right now
fascism.
that there are trucks holding in places like Arnprior and Embrun and other places that are have indicated an indication, a desire or an openness to returning to blockades right now. So that is a power we may well need. The power to designate critical infrastructure like border crossings as not just the actual border crossing itself, which of course is protected under current legislation, but the approaches to border crossings, 15 kilometers up the road from Coots, for example, or the municipal approaches to the Windsor crossing that require police to be able to designate that as areas where people not just occupy, but indicating a desire to go and occupy that intersection can be turned away. Just in the past days, there was a convoy from Fort McMurray destined for Ottawa that was largely turned away at the Manitoba-Ottawa border.
Illegally.
First of all, what power that's in the provincial acts of Manitoba, emergency acts of Manitoba and Ontario that cannot, that what power is not available for the provincial police to deal with that?
Even still, there is a certain document, a certain federal document that cannot be superseded by the provinces.
Movement.
And in that document, it clearly delineates between freedom of movement within Canada and to re-entry in Canada, which you have shat on with your with the restrictions, and by illegally turning away Canadian citizens from moving into Manitoba.
Yep.
It's called the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Yep.
The laws and the powers in the Emergencies Act. Now, this is not something that we want to imagine continuing indefinitely in Canada.
Yes,
we hope to only keep it in place for a number more days. We will reevaluate every single day.
Answer his question.
Now, when the situation is still of people pre-positioning people.
No, that's not true. I don't think that they're idiots.
Indicating that they're
Freeland, I don't think that they're dumb.
No, they're not
just
dumb
evil.
at all.
Their illegal occupations to disrupt Canadians' lives.
But what you did for 2 years wasn't disruptive at all.
Needs to remain in place while this emergency situation is still in place. And
10% of Canadians lost their job
instead to try and get as many as possible.
The suicide rate, what was it, tripled?
Over the last two and a half years,
yeah.
it's skyrocketed. Yeah. I believe in the first year alone, it went up 40%.
Yeah. The suicide, people unaliving themselves. That's permanent.
People losing their businesses, losing their jobs.
Yeah. Losing their homes that they've had forever.
Their homes or their dreams of homes.
Yep.
Their savings has become devalued immensely.
Yep.
Oh, I want to punch him in his stupid smug face.
Yep.
Sir Lee Berthium, Canadian Press, good to see you. You've said you don't want to keep the Emergencies Act any longer than necessary, but you have also said that you want to make some of the new powers around fundraising platforms, reporting to FinTrack permanent. I'm wondering what other powers you're looking at making permanent, what other changes after this crisis have passed.
One of the things that is important and right about the use of the Emergencies Act is there are already many mechanisms around review and oversight, whether it's a parliamentary committee, whether it's an inquiry afterwards, whether it's a need for openness and transparency, whether it's even court cases that are coming forward to challenge it. All those are part of the checks and balances that make sure that these actions we took are the right ones, which we know they are. At the same time, there needs to be a reflection about misinformation and disinformation
except when we provide the misinformation and disinformation, then you need to just shut up and believe us.
Funding of illegal actions in our country designed to disrupt or destabilize our democracy. There have to be reflections on our ability to keep our borders open and free flowing and protect critical infrastructure like the seat of our democracy. These are things
that's
that
not critical infrastructure. Do you even know what critical infrastructure is? Does he not? That's not what critical infrastructure means. You dumbass. The seat of democracy is not critical infrastructure. It's important, but like
he learned it from Joe Biden.
Infrastructure is like roads, sewers,
electrical, water, and transportation.
Yeah, that's infrastructure. Where your parliament sits, that's not infrastructure.
Well, again, it's become almost a tired meme, but it's because it's so true. It's 1984 newspeak.
Yeah.
It's not coincidence that he says this, that Angela Merkel says this, that Jacinda Ardern says this, that Joe Biden says this.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I would have been like, a globalist cabal, come on, man. But today, the pieces are just so well lined up. If you can't see the writing on the wall, then I'm sorry, you're an idiot.
Mm.
You don't have to believe in the stonecutters meeting. Who controls the British pound?
Yeah.
Who keeps the metric system down? You don't have to believe that far.
No.
But to see that these lines are repeated verbatim all around the world by these people who are basically interchangeable, it's no longer coincidence.
No.
Something more is going on here, and don't trust these, like, even the quote unquote good people, even Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah. You
still wouldn't trust him because he's a politician. Exactly. But it's that lesser of all evils thing.
Yeah. Where is anonymous? Is that a thing anymore?
Well, apparently some guy who's been bragging that he's anonymous, that he's been this big hacker, blah, 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 is this guy in Toronto that I think he's taking credit for other people's stuff, and he's just doing it to become a viral TikTok star.
Probably, yeah. All right, let's go a few more minutes and
On
then.
in time, we will work with parliamentarians to move forward in a way that is responsible and properly measured to react and proact in terms of what we see potentially coming in the coming years.
Okay, thank you for that. We are going
Okay,
to go
thank
on
you for that
questions on Zoom. On va
non-answer.
commencer avec
Those
Hélène
anonymous
Bizetti, les coop de
people
information.
I was just telling you about, they're on his
Oui,
side.
bonjour.
Yep.
Ma question est pour la ministre Freeland. Oui, les
Oh, now we're
report
gonna
devait
go to
être négatif.
crappy
Est-ce que
Zoom
automatiquement
connections.
ça dégèle ses comptes? Et si je me
Let's,
permets de rentrer
They're
une
trying to
petite question,
speak French.
Yeah, let's.
Good God.
We'll end that. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna end this now because I did have something to eat before the stream, but it's done its job and I'm hungry again. So but I just wanted to go through that press conference with you guys and in preparation for the vote tonight, which I'll probably be starting the stream at around 7:45. And then I'm gonna play Pierre Poilievre's speech before the vote.
I was going to suggest that. Yeah.
And then we'll go and do the vote. We'll watch the vote. So
Because
that's what's gonna happen.
Just like what we saw now, where you, me, everybody in chat is up in arms. We're furious at what was being said.
Yeah.
It's going to be a complete juxtaposition listening to what Poilievre says.
Yeah. It's going to be a big difference, I think. And so if that's something that you'd like to see, come by again around 7:45 Eastern tonight. Yes, honey?
Poilievre just announced that he just said he's never going to allow, if he does get elected, he's never going to allow this to happen again.
Good.
Interesting. Not going to sit there and praise him, but interesting.
So yeah, I'll be starting around 7:45 tonight. Do you want the link functional or?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So functional will be joining me. So I'll be back tonight with that, and then tomorrow I'll be on Minions with Skep, and then it is Wednesdays with Skep this Wednesday. So come by.
Double dose of Skep. Yep,
come by for all of that fun, and I guess we'll see you later tonight, guys. Have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye. Yeah, because